Welcome to the channel. Today I'm in Project Cars 2. Over the years, it seems as if the franchise has been loved and hated by many, and in my limited knowledge of the game, both sides have valid reasons. I recently found out that the franchise, which has been bought by Electronic Arts in early 2021, has been shuttered. Now, Project Cars 1 and 2 are no longer available on Steam, however PC3 is still there. Personally, I only own Project Cars 2. Long story short, when I was researching the game about a year ago to decide which, if any, of the versions I wanted to buy, for various reasons I settled on PC2. Once I discovered it was no longer available on Steam, and since I hadn't installed it yet, yes, from when I bought it over a year ago, I wanted to make sure I still could install it and run it. Well, I can, and I did. After running the game, the first thing I did after editing my profile was to test the 69 Chevy Camaro Z28 Trans Am around the Texas Motor Speedway Oval. After running a few laps, I see why I've seen the game described as a simcade, a blend of sim and arcade racing. It felt like the car was easier to drive than expected. All of the assists were still at their default setting of off or authentic, so that should not have been helping. But that's fine with me, it just sets my expectation for realism. After some more laps, I was ready to race. For the first race, I kept the opponent skill level at 60 out of 120 and aggression 50 out of 100. There will be 15 opponents of the same class, and I set the weather to random, hoping to anything but rain, so it gives me a thunderstorm. Also, I didn't think to look at the damage setting, which was defaulted to none, so I won't be getting any damage. Okay, so here we are. Obviously the race has begun. Nice lightning strike there, and come into the first turn on the first lap, and already get an incident. Actually, that was turn 3, I think. Anyway, yeah, so just that quick, we have our first incident. Alright, coming out of turn 2 down the back straight, and we passed those two cars for 10th. The one was the Mustang that I just rear-ended, and if we keep an eye on him as he passes me on the outside, I think he's a little bit unhappy with me and gives me a little tap right there. So, a little bit of aggression out of the AI, maybe a little bit of payback. Now I want to go into the cockpit view and show you something here. During the race, as I was actually racing, the windshield wiper was working. It would be impossible for me to race like this. But for some reason, on this race, the cockpit windshield wiper isn't working, and I don't know why. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. And as I come around these turns, the car goes down onto the apron and comes back up onto the track because of my spectacular lack of skill. And, this just speaks to the arcadey nature of the game, I think, because I don't think in real life that would have turned out very well. I think the car should have been rather upset by that, and I probably should have spun out. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just felt like that was a thing that probably wasn't too awful realistic right there. And then I just go ahead and split the difference between those two cars and bang into one of them. for yet another racing incident. And I'm going to speed up just a little bit here, catching up to these two people. And then I go on the outside, and eventually I do make the pass. Yep, take the outside for the lead, and that's it for the rest of the race. Lap 7, I'm in the lead, and just kind of stay there in the torrential downpour. So this is how my first race in the game went. And I take the checkered flag for the win. Okay, so I tried the exact same race again, almost. The same car, same class and everything. But this time I did up the AI skill level to 75 out of 120, just an extra 15 points, and kept, I upgraded the aggression to 60. Same car, same class, like I said, and I didn't want to get boned by the random weather again, so I just put it at light cloud, and I did go into the options and set up full damage. And so, as you can see, like in the first race, starting from last place, fairly quickly, passing a bunch of cars. I'm now up to 11th. And it's feeling pretty good, having fun. So now I got these two cars up in front of me that I need to pass to get up to 9th place. 48's wobbling around there, bumps into me, at least according to my point of view. Anyway, now I'm up into 9th place, and I kind of end up being stuck here. When you look at the top middle of the screen, Alec Barker is the next car ahead, and I get stuck in this zone of the AI difficulty where I've passed the cars behind me, but I can't catch up to the cars in front of me. And so, like I learned in testing and in race 1, I'm trying my best. I'm trying to hit the marks, my braking points, trying to get the line as best as I can. It's definitely not perfect, but I'm trying what I can here. Like I said, the AI skill difficulty is only down to 75 out of 120, but having a difficult time catching up, and now there's a car catching up to me from behind. And so I sort of panic, and I do this bonehead move, and just all by myself crash into the wall, and get passed by a whole bunch of cars, and fall down to 15th place. Now, it seems like I should have a whole lot more damage than this. Now, remind you, I just turned the damage on to full damage, and a hit like that should be severely hampering the car. I think more so than what it is here, but it isn't. Now, I'm not fully back to 100%, of course. It is performing worse than it was before. I'm here in 15th place now, and I'm pretty much stuck right here. I can't catch up, I can't fall behind. Well, I could fall behind, obviously, but I can't catch up to the cars in front of me. But I feel like this should be a DNF, a hit like that. And if you're going to go with, no assist for steering and braking, and no damage, and try and get to be full realistic, unless there's some other options that I'm missing in the game, this should be a DNF. So let's speed on through the race. And there you go, across the line, and finish in 15th place. So that's how the second race I attempted in the game went. Okay, so I decided to try this race one more time after some observations. I increased the skill level last time up to 75, so this time I'm going to decrease it down to 70, just fine-tuning it. I'm not sure that it really matters. So the skill level for the opponents will be 70 out of 120. The aggression is still going to be 60 out of 100. But then the other thing I kind of felt like I noticed, kind of wanted to test out a theory here, wasn't sure if it was true, that in the first race I was quite a bit quicker than the other cars because the track was wet. So maybe the AI is really bad in the wet. So for this third and final race for this video, I want to do something a little bit goofy with the weather because the game allows for it. The game allows you to set up to 4 weather occurrences. I guess it ends up 3 transitions, but for the first fourth of the game, I'm going to set the weather to clear, and then after that, I'm going to set it to the torrential thunderstorm like it was in the first race. But then after the thunderstorm, for that fourth, I'm going to take it back to clear again, and then whatever, take it back to overcast. So I want to see what happens with the race while the track is dry. How well do I do, and do I all of a sudden pick up and catch up speed in the wet, and then the ensuing wetness after that. So that's how I set up the weather, and then damage is still set to full. So let's begin the race now and get started. So the weather is clear and I'm doing okay. Passed a few cars on the first turn. Out of turn 2, I guess that was. Then I come up to the high side here, and then get into a little bumpy boo with the Porsche there, and continue on. So just like that, I've gotten up to position 8, and now I'm chasing down cars in front, getting past this other Porsche. Now we're on lap 3, so the rain should be starting pretty soon. And there it goes. So in the first race, when I showed the replay and went into the cockpit view, the windshield wiper wasn't working. But for some reason, in this race, when the thunderstorm, with the sun still shining, the wiper is working. And so this is what you see. But I also want to notice that, boy, once the rain came down, it looks like I'm now supercharged. And already I'm clear up to 4th place and easily catching up, 3rd place now, easily catching these two and passing on the low side. So it's kind of confirming a hunch that when the rain comes out, the AI does very, very terrible, and you can catch them more easily. We're on lap 5, and looks like the sky is starting to clear up a little bit. The rain has stopped. Any moment now the wiper will go away. But yeah, so there it is. With these particular cars on this particular track, driving this particular car, you are much quicker in the wet, it seems. And it does look like the replay has issues with swiping away the raindrops. The rain is gone, but there's still some splash on the windshield. So yeah, that's not fun to look at. Let's go to the chase view. And there we go. Let's speed up the race a little bit. So okay then, we got a challenger coming up on the outside. We get into each other a little bit. Hey, rubbing is racing. And we cross the start-finish line for the final lap. We can see the track is drying out, and you don't really see it too well in the replay. At least I didn't in my replay. But during the game, you could definitely see how the track was drying more so where the racing line was and where the other cars were, and remaining wet in the other places on the track. Very cool feature. But that ends the race here. So driving in the wet is the Achilles heel for the AI in this particular setup here. So anyway, I crossed the finish line. Not necessarily cleanest race in the world, but I did take the checkered flag for the win. And so this is my review of sorts, I guess, of Project Cars 2, a game that has been recently discontinued and taken off of the market. Not sure how much value is going to be to somebody who hadn't already bought the game, but if you're like me and you bought the game back in the day, or actually I didn't buy it back in the day, I bought it more recently on what I'm sure was a very steep Steam discount, and just sort of let it sit in my library until whenever. If you have this game in your Steam library and you haven't installed it yet, pros and cons, I don't think you can get to the reviews on Steam anymore, but look elsewhere for the reviews. You'll see what people like and hate about the game. There's been numerous YouTube videos about the Project Cars franchise, what have you. But if you have this game in your library and you haven't installed it yet, I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's a good game. I enjoyed the game. It is what it is. Good and bad. There's fun to be had here. So I just had to do it. Like I said, in my library, the EA bought it. They canceled the program, so I decided to. That was the prompt, the boot in the butt for me to check it out. So I did, and this is my video on the game. So anyway, thanks for watching.